Good morning and welcome to Legally Speaking with Attorney Antoinette Osbourne. This program is for information purposes only. If you need legal advice, you can contact me, Antoinette Osbourne, at 718 502 9137. That's 718 502 9137. I had to restart the live. Unfortunately, for some reason, the camera was not showing. So this morning, I want to focus on parole in place because there are some updates that will be taking place as of tomorrow. Tomorrow, August 19th, the application is now available. And bear with me 1 second. I have to repost the live in Facebook. Let's see. All right. All right. So, for those of you who are just joining, welcome to Legally Speaking with Attorney Antoinette Osbourne. All right. So, starting tomorrow, there are or I should say, the availability to submit this parole in place. And this is specifically for spouses of US citizens or stepchildren of US citizens. Just a reminder, to qualify as a stepchild, your parent would have had to marry the US citizen prior to your 18th birthday. And of course, to remain a child, you have to be under 21 years old. So if you're just tuning in, we are going to be focusing on the updates with regards to the parole in place, which starts tomorrow. So if you are a US citizen, this would in fact remove the need for your spouse if they have no proof of their entry. And this application is specifically geared to people who have no proof of entry. So you didn't enter on a visa, you were not inspected into the country by immigration. So you weren't paroled in or you were not admitted. And the main purpose of this application is so that you will be able to qualify for an adjustment of status. The parole in place does come with a work permit, and the parole is available for 3 years. Now, my recommendation would be is once you are able to get the parole, you should be moving towards an adjustment of status. So further down in the program, you will see how it is so important that once you have this parole, because when this parole is issued, you're going to be given a new I-94. That is a document you would have needed to show that there is some proof of your entry, right? If you don't have those parole papers, that stamp in your passport that you were paroled, they're issuing a new I-94, which it causes you to be able to file your application for an adjustment of status, right? So the form is available. This application can only be done on the internet. There are no paper versions for it. You have to be able to have access to a computer if you are going to be doing this application yourself. This is a complete online application. So it's something that is totally new. You will have to establish a USCIS account, So people who are going to be doing this application, even if an attorney is doing this application for you, you still have to establish the USCIS account, because once your application is done online, what you have to understand is the attorney is just a preparer. You're the person who certify as to the accuracy of this application. And the reason they want certification, or they want that verification, it's done under the penalties of perjury. So if there is any form of misrepresentation, you could be subject to prosecution for perjury. And this is an application that is in fact made to the government. So, God forbid, there is a false statement under it, then of course you can be referred to the U.S. Attorney for prosecution. This is not, immigration is not a state application, it is a federal application. So nobody's going to the DA. It is an application. If it is fraudulent, it's going to be turned over to the U.S. Attorney for prosecution. So I am going to encourage you, be truthful on these applications. And for those of you who have a prior immigration filing, then of course they are going to cross check, because you have to reveal any A number that has been assigned to you. So if you're just tuning in, welcome. I had to restart the live. It's a completely different link because for some reason my camera was not showing this morning. All right. So what are the requirements? Let's just delve back briefly into the requirements for this parole in place. It's not an application that everyone qualifies to file for. It's an application that is extremely beneficial if you have absolutely no proof of your entry. So this saves you if you had no proof, because prior to this, as the spouse of a US citizen, you, or even the stepchild, you would have had to do a provisional waiver, which is quite costly in terms of legal fees, and also with respect to the immigration fees, right? Quite costly. You'd have to go outside the country. You would have had to do your interview. Good morning, Pauline. Good morning, Renee. Oh, just a reminder, at 11 o'clock on Future FM, we are going to be hosting Fumi's Village. You are more than welcome. It is geared towards our community, focusing on the African diaspora and building strong families. All right, so who is eligible for this? If you entered on a visa, you cannot apply for this. This is geared to people who have absolutely no proof of their entry. So if you have entered on a visa, or previously you were paroled in, this does not apply for you, because you have to have had no proof of entry. You are not admitted. So even if you entered illegally and then for some reason you got advanced parole and you traveled, this does not apply to you. You can just go and do your straight adjustment of status once you qualify. This specifically was geared, the parole in place was geared for spouses of US citizens and stepchildren of US citizens who have absolutely no proof of their entry, and it allows them to be able to ultimately file for an adjustment of status, right? So you have to be present without admission or parole. You have to be continuously present. So they're not going to be requesting documents for every day, right? Since June 17, 2014. No. But you have to show at least for each year you were here, right? And we'll get into the documents later that they will be looking for to be able to assist you in making this application. It is not an application, even if you meet the bare bones qualification that is going to be accorded to everyone. This is a discretionary application, and you, in order to get this, you have to be able to merit a favorable exercise of that officer's discretion, right? Now, for stepchildren, one of the greatest things for you is you do not have to present proof of physical presence since June 17, 2014. A reminder for spouses, you must have been married since June 17. I'm sorry, you must have been married as of June 17, right? 2024, right? So if it is that you're getting married the day after because this thing came out and all that's in your head is that you must be married to a US citizen. Let's say you got married on June 18th, you would not qualify, right? This is why I encourage people, you're living in the same house with your partner and you're performing all duties of a wife and a or husband. You're just living there and this person is not marrying you. I think you should really start looking into yourself to see whether or not this is a person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, because anyone who has your best interests at heart, especially as a spouse, you have certain economic and certain inheritance rights. And people are living with people and according that person all benefits of a spouse except for the legal rights of a spouse. And in order to qualify for this, if you are a spouse, you have to be married. Yeah. This is unless for if you're in a jurisdiction that approves of common law. New York does not. Since 1933, New York does not engage in a common law practice. Yeah, I can tell you specifically for Jamaica, where sometimes the man dies, you have 3, 4 women, especially if this person was going and spending significant times. Sometimes this happens with police officers or soldiers where they are sent to different destinations and they take up occupancy with these women who are not aware that they are in a different parish living completely a whole new life on you. Yeah. So if you're in a jurisdiction that recognizes common law, then that sort of living arrangement will in fact assist you. If you're like in New York, this is not going to benefit you. Okay. All right. So you must not have a disqualifying criminal history. Remember, one thing I want you to, in fact, focus on is that the purpose of the parole in place is ultimately so that you will be able to apply for adjustment of status. Yes, the parole in place does give you a work permit for 3 years, but what people are really looking for is that stability in the United States. So, as a result of which, they want to be able to get certain benefits that permanent residents get. Think about it, you're contributing into a system, you're paying taxes. By the time you are supposed to collect your Social Security, if you have no proof of legal status, all those years of contributing is not. So people who have been contributing into the system for years and then they get deported and they're back in their home country, yet they are not able to get the benefit, yeah, of getting those social security payments. And this is particular daunting where you have contributed for years, yet you are not able to reap the benefits. It's tough. And this, in fact, happens to a lot of people. And they will call from outside the country. What can they do? You have to get back some level of legal You have that legal qualification to return to the United States. You have proof that you're legal in the United States. If you have been deported and you're outside your home country, by you being deported, your legal status has terminated. And it's tough. You have a lot of people who have suffered because of this. And when they go to their home countries, if it is that they can't find a job to sustain them, then it is what it is. All right. So you need to apply if only you qualify, you meet the qualifications. Morning, Flavia. You have to meet the qualifications. Guys, don't forget to like the live. Don't forget to share the live. This information will benefit someone who does qualify for this, because come tomorrow, the floodgates are open. The application is in fact available online and you can file for it, right? So you get this I-94 once it is approved. This is your blessing to move for your adjustment of status. And I find people like to take their time. They like to delay in certain things. I am going to encourage you. Delay does not benefit you when it comes to immigration. It does not. You're seeking a benefit. And in seeking this benefit, I would encourage anyone move towards your green card. Yeah. Marriages break down. You may no longer have that petitioner. So I am going to encourage you. You get you get the parole. Go ahead and make your application. You have your I-94. This is what you needed to show that you are in fact eligible to apply for adjustment of status. Now, once you get this I-94, this is not a visa. This does not allow you to travel. Yes, by getting the parole in place, it allows you to get you're no longer in an unlawful presence, but you don't have lawful status, right? And the unlawful presence that you had accrued prior to getting this parole in place, it does not go anywhere, right? So I want you to focus on this. And this is why when you get this parole in place, I'm encouraging you. You are eligible to file for adjustment of status, file for it, right? All right. So for those of you who want to travel, because you have people who are here for years, I have processed people who have been in this country for 30 plus years, no papers. And this is a long time. And anyone who has been without paperwork here, you are fully aware that when you get employment, especially if you have a family to feed, a lot of people get taken advantage of because of the position that they hold. And people are working long hours, you're not being paid overtime, you're not accorded certain benefits because, of course, certain things, some health insurance, they need a social security number. This is not something that you have. Back in the day, you didn't have to really show lawful status to get a social security number. So what you'll find is some people are here for years, and when it was a little bit easier before the real ID Act came in and it became so daunting, yeah, people were able to apply for social security numbers and they were able to continue their employment because they could show their social security number. And back then it wasn't so hard to get an ID, a driver's license. All right. So just a reminder, if you entered on a visa, you cannot benefit from this, right? So I just want people to be able to, you have to know the rules. You don't want to put in an application and unfortunately you are not familiar with the rules. So if you have a question this morning, before I do forget, you can in fact call in at 718-502-9137. That's 718-502-9137. So the phone lines are open. I do see that someone sent a text message. So if you have a question as well, you can text your question to 718-502-9137. So hold on one second. All right. So morning, Sebastian. So Sebastian says, good morning, Auntie Fumi. Can you travel to the state of Texas with a New York state ID or driver's license? So I'm not sure whether it's May or March 2025, unless you have that federal enhanced driver's license or ID. Because of the Real ID Act now, you have to have, if you're looking to travel from state to state, you can always travel on your passport, regardless of the country that issued that passport, as long as the passport is not expired. With regards to your driver's license, I think it's May or March 2025, I think, because they keep extending this date, yeah? I think the driver's license in New York is like something like 90 something dollars. That's not cheap money, but I think it is valid for now the new license. You can get them valid for an extended period. So you can now travel on that driver's license. And I'm going to try and see if I can find the date. I think it is until, I'll tell you right now. It is, you have until May 2025, right? So if you have your driver's license, you have until May 2025 if it is not a federal enhanced driver's license, meaning that they checked your immigration status in order to issue that license. Some license where they're not vetting, you don't have to show the green card, you don't have to show the US citizenship, right? You don't have to show no lawful status. Then those IDs and driver's license will say not for federal purposes. So that means that there has not been that extra verification which proves that you have lawful status, right? And for those of you, back in the day, the work permits were issued for a 1 year period, right? So when you looked at the driver's license, it would say temporary visitor and it gives the period of your work permit. Below that, you had the issue and expiry date of the driver's license. So the fact that your temporary visitor status has expired, your driver's license was still good because you're looking at for the validity of the license. You're looking at the issue and the expiration date. The temporary visitor date was geared specifically for your legal status. Yeah. Back in the day, the work permit was a year. Now it's like 5 years. Yeah. And some people are relying on this for continued employment. The reason for this is if your status gets terminated earlier, oftentimes your employer does not know, right? So people just continue working on the work permit. All right, so just tuning in, good morning. Thank you for being here. You're listening to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osbourne. Come 11 o'clock today on Future FM, we are hosting Fumi's Village. It is an interactive program where you can call in and we, as a community, we are able to discuss the issues affecting our community. It is a family oriented, it is focused on keeping our families together, geared towards the African diaspora, as I think, in my humble opinion, we are not preserving family as a unit. So you are able to tune in. You can download the TuneIn app, or you can go on the website futurefm.net. All right, now come tomorrow. This is an online application. There are no paper versions. You must establish a USCIS account. One of the things that I am going to encourage you, if you are in fact doing this application, you have to monitor that account, because if a requisition is sent and there are deadlines that are imposed, if you do not submit your response within the deadline, then here it is, your application is terminated. So, encouraging you, you have to monitor this account. Yeah. All right. If your spouse died before June 17, 2024, they are in fact still allowing you to apply for this. My concern is whether or not they have to change the flexibility, because as a surviving spouse, the requirement concerning the length of marriage is removed, but nothing is stated, and I don't know for the parole in place whether or not they are in fact going to change the rules that you apply within 2 years of the death, right? All right. And I just want to encourage, some of you end up in these very wicked families, and your spouse is deceased, and the family members come and take control. And often where there is monies involved, you get in these families and it's a disaster, because they are reporting that, and I'll speak to New York, because with regards to other states, I'm not sure of their policy. You are in New York State and you have that informant who's very much aware that you are married, but because of oftentimes it's a money issue. And by you being the spouse, you change other family members who are eligible rights to inherit. And what happens is the family member who becomes the informant, they fill out and provide the Department of Vital Records with information that the spouse was never married. Yet you need this death certificate to apply as a surviving spouse. And what they do is, you're not placed on the death certificate. You need this immigration benefit. I know you have to apply to immigration. If you send in that death certificate without your name and with your spouse being single, that's a complete red flag. And it attaches a fraud trigger to your file. So you get into these cantankerous families. And often I'm seeing that these death certificates, it has never married. Recently, in order, I guess, because the informant is lying, they know he's married. So they checked unknown. You know what that tells immigration? That he never held you out and to be his spouse, and that the marriage, more likely than not, is fraudulent. So now you have to make an application to immigration. How do you do it? You're not listed as spouse. You have to rectify this death certificate. You go and you present all your documents, right? And personally, for me, for people who are married in New York City, I really think Vital Records should have a burden to check their system. Yeah. And say whether or not the informant is in fact true. I can understand if this is done out of state. But when people get married in New York, you provide your social security numbers. I really think vital records should check. Yeah. And you go to the informant, which is the relative, that cantankerous person who just could not stand you, and you're requesting them to please just go ahead and provide the information on my marriage. And they say no. Vital records is not going to change. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to have to make an application through court. So you have additional legal fees to pay. You as a spouse, I don't think if I'm married to anybody, I don't care. You could be mama and mama. You don't have no rights over me. I'm the spouse. I'm organizing the funeral. You want to come at your son's funeral, you come, you don't want to come, you all a separate service. And this is where niceness and you don't want to aggravate. Me I got aggravate you. Yeah, me not care, me I got aggravate you. You have to know your position in life. In the hierarchy, the spouse is on top. And this is where I can't understand people. You don't know your roles. And no one should remove you from your driver's seat and put you in the passenger seat. How? You have to know your position. And I think this is where people really, they don't know their position in life. And they let the family members come and take control. Yeah? I want people to understand if you are in fact married, you are at the top of the food chain. Yeah? Then under you come your kids. They're not on your level. And the way how I see some of you children speaking to your parents, grown or still a minor, it's I'm just amazed. Yeah. And we come from a father and will knock you down. My mother was a nice one in this unit. My father, you are not his friend. Know your role. You are a child. Yeah. All right. If it is that you're in removal proceedings, you can still apply for this. If you have a removal order, that's a deportation order, and it has not been executed, that means that they're not deport you. Yeah. You are eligible to apply, but you have to make the necessary applications, because remember, the purpose of this is to allow for an adjustment of status. So you would have to make the necessary application in immigration court to open up these proceedings, right? So if you're back home, can you get deported? Nothing now go on for you. No. I want you to know, if you've been determined to, to provide false information and it comes to their attention, I may have to go and get some water. What time is it? It comes to their attention, they're gonna revoke the parole. And bear with me 1 sec. I don't know where that come from. Anyway, if it comes to their attention that you provided material false information, they're gonna come for this parole. They're coming for this parole. It's terminated, and you're gonna end up in removal proceedings. So just be very careful. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome. At 11 o'clock, we are going to be hosting Fumi's Village on futurefm.net. You can listen in on the TuneIn app, or you can go to the website futurefm.net. If you are in Westchester or the Bronx, you can listen in on their dial in 98.9 FM. Okay. If it is determined that your continued presence is no longer warranted in the United States, then they can terminate this parole in place, right? If you get a notice to appear in immigration court, your parole in place is terminated. So these are the ways that you can lose this parole in place. Some of you have your friends, you tell your business, and they do a little calling, or possibly they write a letter to immigration because they know that you lied on the application. And because they know that you lied on the application, they report you. Yeah. I mean, your enemy can't bring you down. It has to be your friends. And my mother always said, not everything good to eat, good to talk. Yeah. Just be very careful how you share information with your friends. You'd be surprised. Not everyone is going to be happy for you. And I can't encourage you enough. I think this is a place where you have to be very careful of the friends that you keep, right? Because not everyone who is smiling in your face really and truly has your best interests at heart. All right. Now, if you submit false information or you submit a false document, then this parole in place, if it is discovered and your application was approved, they have the right to revoke it. Now, fees, how much is it? Because at the end of the day, everything boils down to money. You need to know how much that you are going to be required to pay, right? How much is it? It is the sum of, let's go, $580. Not a very expensive application, right? Of course, your work permit fee is going to be different, but this application opens doors. It opens doors to a green card. It opens doors to get advanced parole so you can travel outside the country. You cannot use this I-94 to travel outside the country. You need a separate application, which is called advanced parole, in order to travel. All right, so we're looking at timing. How long is it? It is for a period of 3 years, right? Which is good. Gives you time because the adjustment fees, and this is adjustment fees without the advanced parole. When you're looking to move for the green card, you're looking at $2,375. And if you want to apply for advanced parole, that's an extra $630. So boom, right there, it's over $3,000. Not everybody have this money sitting down. And your parole, which provides you can apply for a work permit. It gives you time to save, right? Because you have the work permit for 3 years. If you can't save this money in 3 years, I think you need to revisit your budget. Yeah. And I find people buy things that are not necessary. These are not the time to be focusing on luxury items. The lines in the pantry, they wrap around the corner. Yeah, people are struggling. I see where they say, oh, so much job creation, but it's job creation for who? Because you have people. I went into, is it CVS? Yeah, because I usually go to another pharmacy, but I went into CVS, and the girl was like, you check out over there. And I said, there's nobody there. She said, you check out yourself. And I said, CVS have self-checkout now. And she's like, yes. So who lost their job? When the machine is replacing you, and I want you to understand, and I want you to encourage your children, go focus on areas where, let's hope by the time you are into the working world, that you will have a job. Some jobs are becoming obsolete. And when you have a family to feed, this is not a game here. Yeah. Some people have been in their jobs for years and you're replacing me with a machine. Yeah. All right. Now, the documents that you produce, of course, everything is online. So it is determined by the type of your application and your answers to the question. Now, I want you to understand this. You have a biometrics to do. Why are they doing the biometrics? You're checking your criminal history. Do you remember? The ultimate goal is for you to be able to do an adjustment of status. You want that green card. Nobody wants to be here forever and you don't have that legal status. Ultimately, if you want to return to your home country, you're looking for that citizenship. Because as a green card holder, you cannot be out of the country for more than 6 months, putting your green card in jeopardy. So now you have this biometrics to do, yeah? Your fingerprints. At the biometrics, you are here certifying that you provided this information. You are certifying that you reviewed and you submitted. You have some people who, oh, but I just signed. Nobody's buying that. You can't say it's not your act. That's your signature. That's the only thing. That's the only question. Is that your signature? That's you. So you have a duty when you're looking about these applications. Review that application, right? Because when you're going to be doing your fingerprinting, you have to certify that you reviewed and you submitted all the information. And the purpose of this is, God forbid, you end up in removal proceedings. You can't come now and say it's not you. Yeah? All right. So just tuning in, welcome. I am going to be wrapping this up because come tomorrow, the floodgates are open. You can apply for this parole in place if it is that you are a spouse or a stepchild that qualifies for this. It's a great benefit. It saves a lot of money from doing the provisional waiver. And some people were, in fact, fearful. They didn't want to do the provisional waiver. All right, so we have documents that we have to submit, right? You're looking to do this application, you have to show your continued physical presence. So let's get over and let's look at it. We're coming from June 17th, 2014. If you're a spouse, if you are a child, you just have to ensure that your parents got married before. And when I say parent, I'm referring to your biological parent who married the US citizen. You just have to prove that they got married before June 17, 2024. So what are we looking at? Rent receipts, pay your rent, because a lot of you are not paying your rent. Pay your rent. Say a landlord can, if you lose your rent receipts, he can give you copies of the duplicate receipts. Utility bills, and whether it's gas, electric, water is usually included in a rent because you can't get a water bill in your name in New York City. Yeah. If you're a tenant, because it goes with the land, it's a homeowner, the water bill name is in. Receipts from third-party companies showing you are physically present. Let's look at your tax returns. Don't let nobody fool you if you are an immigrant. Go and apply. You're here. Apply for your tax ID. File your taxes. Pay your taxes. And because another advantage to this is when you in fact pay your taxes, when you do get your legal status, the monies that you paid under your tax ID, you are going to go to Social Security and you're going to link the information. So you would have had information that shows that you have or you use that information to put towards your 40 quarters. So don't let people tell you don't pay taxes. Let me tell you something. It's when you get old, yeah, and you can't work. And some people, because of circumstances, they want to retire, but they can't because things are so expensive. They are, in fact, forced to continue working. But let's say you've retired. This is your sole source of income. If you got sick, because you may be healthy now, but we don't know what the future holds. And this is why we have to start taking care of ourselves. Look at what you eat, look at your lifestyle, remove people who, cause stress in your life, right? It's hard when I see people who have been married for like 25, 30 years and they're getting a divorce. It's I'm so sad for them because you spent so many years with someone and unfortunately it did not work out. Yeah. And I'll tell anyone who's in a divorce, having been in a marriage for so long, they're not going to leave your pension. They need that money. Yeah. And they're not leaving it for your other partner. Unless their pension is like equal, then they don't care. Because everybody pension gets split. But you have to realize, having invested, and especially when you have as someone who is a housewife or a house husband, because some man stay home too, yeah. When you're that person, they're not going to walk away from your pension. They need the money. When you reach a certain age, you can't work, you don't have that paycheck coming in. You want that money because you're gonna get off your social security, yeah. And in New York, your pension is a marital asset. They're going to make the claims. All right. Let's look at school records. Yeah. Hospital records. Someone go into hospital, kind of want to avoid the bill. You don't give your correct name. Some people are living in the shadows. When things like this come about, you living in the shadows does not help you because you need documentary proof. Yeah. Official records from religious entities. We know enough pastor because someone on in the scamming, which is sad, but they are looking at religious records. Go to church, make the pastor know you, make the pastor look at you get pay your tithes and offering because them keep a tithes book. Yeah. And they keep entries of you paying your tithes. Pay your tithes, pay your offering, get a blessing. So your pastor can give you something, or you're not a Christian, you're probably a Muslim. I don't know what's gonna do over there, but I'm sure the imam keeps a record as to who is attending the mosque. Yeah. And I am sure the Hindus at their temple, I'm not sure what they call that, the pandit or the pundit, yeah, keep something of your attendance. Yeah. So get involved in the community, you would be surprised. You want a favorable exercise of discretion, get involved in the community so you can get some recommendations. Yeah. All right. Remember, not everybody is going to get this parole in place. It is an exercise of discretion. Yeah. And the burden is on you because in your application, there is a section in the application that specifically asks, why is it that you must get this exercise of discretion? You look for people with good character. Pretty face not all this. You have good character. You need to convince the officer. Why is it that this because remember, this parole is like a urgent humanitarian need. Why is it that you should benefit from this? All right. Now you have other documents like you're here, someone to remit monies, and for people who are remit money in other people's name, this is where this does not benefit you. It does not benefit you. When it comes to proving physical presence, it must be in your name. Yeah. All right. So those are some of the things. You may have your own automobile. You had IDs throughout that time. The IRS writes you, little things like that. Your bank accounts, receipts, mortgages, yes, and people who don't have paperwork. I have clients who have absolutely no papers and they own homes, right? Your rental agreement, contracts to which you were parties, probably you took out a loan, your insurance policy, your receipts, postmark letters. This is not the thing where if you are someone who you can't take a lot of paper around you, scan it. Get a computer, get a scanner, scan the things, but have proof. This, in any event, is an electronic filing. All right. Now, if you are in removal proceedings, yeah, you can qualify still for this application. And this is great because guess what? You qualify for this, and provided you are not a priority enforcement, which is often people with criminal records or people who are a threat to public safety or just the country as a whole, yeah, you can be in removal and get this terminated. And I'll tell you this, my most grateful clients are people who have been here for years without status, and people who, when their deportation case gets terminated. All right. Let's look at your criminal history, right? Try and keep on the right-hand side of the law. That's the only thing I can encourage people. Keep on the right-hand side of the law. You want to benefit from this. If it is that you have a criminal history, remember, the ultimate aim is not just to stop at this parole in place. You must be able to qualify for an adjustment of status, because this is the purpose of this application, so that you will be able to file for that green card. Yeah, we want people to get stability here in America. We want you to get that benefits. Reminder, you're contributing to the system. If you can't show legal status by the time you want to collect your Social Security, this really does not benefit you. And I want to encourage someone, one, make sure you pay your taxes. It's off the books thing. Even if your employer paying you off the books, put some money in the system. So by the time you reach a certain age, I think Social Security people are just living longer now. Yeah. So it has moved from 65 to 67. I would not encourage anyone to take out early Social Security at, I think it's 62. How your money get chopped? Unless you don't care, you have so much money, you really don't care of taking a cut. But I would not encourage it. Yeah. If you have the ability to wait that time until that full Social Security age, which I do believe is 67, wait. Yeah. Or God forbid, unless some people, you have some people ever just, Lord Jesus, me I go dead. Well, they may apply early. All right. So your criminal history is important. If it is that your criminal history would have disqualified you for a green card, it's going to disqualify you for the parole in place. All right. So just remember, you get an I-94. This I-94 allows you to apply for an adjustment of status. You're not going outside the country. You are able to pick up your green card here, right? I think this application, in essence, it is truly a blessing. Yeah, it's going to help people who were afraid to apply for the provisional waiver, because you know how the embassy is. All right. Final reminder, this application is completely online. When they send you notices, it's going to be to your USCIS account. You must have a USCIS account. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your Sunday. For those of you who can join us at 11 o'clock for Fumi's Village, please join in. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Happy Sunday.